Your legal bestie. And this is another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? I apologize for being delayed here. I had to update the thumbnail because we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. There's a lot that's been going on this week. I owe you guys an update. And I know some people are kind of getting sick of talking about Diddy. So we're going to talk about Diddy and a bunch of other things. Drop any topics in the chat if there's something that was on your mind that has happened over the last week where you're like, what about this? What about this? Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, grandmothers, aunties out there. I'm definitely an auntie. So I hope you guys are out celebrating. And also to start off, don't forget, we've got, before I get into the docket, you can go to SymoneRedwine.com, my website there, and you can check it out. You can get my book, which is Background Checks 101. That one is, what is it, $19.99. It's an ebook, so you get it electronically immediately. But also, very importantly, go right up here. It's the second one in red. Sign up for my free webinar. The title is It's Not Too Late, How to Start Law School as a Grown Busy Adult. That is going to be this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to talk about, for anybody who's ever just considered law school, come on over. Because we're going to talk about the pluses, the benefits, the negatives, all of that. And at the end of it, you can decide if that's something that you want to do. I have a new program. Ooh, I'm already going to be starring. I see some good questions here. I have a new coaching program that I'm going to be launching where literally I hold your hand and I walk you through the law school process the way that I wish that I had. So it'll be a lot of fun. Also, we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch. So we got that. This is... Yep, this is where you go. It's on Eventbrite. The link, again, is on my website. I also put the link at the beginning of this chat. If you scroll up, it's actually the first thing. I'm going to see if I can pin it. And then I'm also going to drop you guys a link. We have not done a call-in a while. So if you want to call in towards the end of the docket, you can call in with your legal question. I'm going to post this right here. There we go. There, and I'm going to pin it. I don't know if any of the admins, if y'all are able to pin stuff to the chat, but if not, let me try to do it real quick. I appreciate you guys joining us, especially on your Mother's Day. Here we go. Let me do this. Someone's asking for a Christian Goal update. You know what? I will go ahead and give you a brief one. I sure will. We're going to have a more in-depth one. Here we go. I just did the call-in. If someone there, I pinned it to the chat. So now it's pinned. If anyone wants to call in, you can be anonymous. You don't have to show your face. You just come on into the chat when we get to that segment. I'll remind you guys. Yes. Lisa Larice said, I start back school tomorrow, finish getting my criminal justice degree. 32, 2 kids, and very busy, but more focused than ever. See, yeah, I feel like when I was in law school, the non-traditional students were the adults who were returning to school. They were the most serious. They ended up getting the best jobs. They came with actual resumes that had work experience. And for us, when it came time to pick a group that you wanted to study with, I was always picking somebody who was a non-traditional student because they had everything to lose, and they were serious about being in school. All right, let's get started. Let me put the docket back up here. Oop, and someone has asked the key question, and I have to apologize. Someone sent a super chat. A few people sent super chats in the last one, and the way that I had my screen set up, I missed a bunch of them. So I apologize. I got 2 screens going now. So I appreciate it immensely for the super chats. Hit that like button as you come on in. Here's what we got for the docket today. We got the Diddy update. We're going to talk about the game's legal issues. Kim and Kanye, that man keeps giving that lady hell. Halle Bailey and DDG. Our new Pope, who comes from Creole background, like myself. And Gabby and Dwayne Wade. A little something on them. I think we got that. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. Hang on. Let me make sure I answer this question. That is probably the question of the day. Anything new on Christian Gold? I will go ahead and start there. So the answer is yes, there is. And my apologies, I should have already done this video. I know that it comes out every Monday. But the new on Christian Gold, he's got a new lawsuit. He's got a second lawsuit. That's an additional hundred some thousand dollars. So now in total, he has pending lawsuits out there for over $200,000 that a plethora, I want to say it's probably approximately 40 people now, are alleging that he has scammed them out of. And I want you to think of it from this perspective. These people and this attorney who's taking this, he is not taking the case on contingency. I'm sorry. Sorry. He is, well, I won't say exactly how he's taking it, but this attorney is not going to be doing these lawsuits that are listing all these various amounts for different people, right? If he doesn't believe in the underlying claim. And if that attorney had felt like, so on the last episode of Basketball Wives, hit that like as you come in. Basically, he was Christian was saying, well, all investments have risks. That is true. And Jennifer was like, well, it's a risk that, money gets lost. That's true too. But in the lawsuits, and I'll be going over the updated one, in the lawsuits, it's not about the fact that, yes, there's a risk. What was happening with these people is they had invested the money and they were being told that they were going to get payouts according to a specific schedule. Then when that schedule came, he was continuing to be like, oh yeah, we're doing well. It's going so well, but he wasn't paying people out. And then he continued to linger out his investing until so-called the market went down, which was months and months after the payout time frame, and then claimed that, oh, well, it went down. Now, this is why I can't pay you. You can't do that. If you tell people they're going to get quarterly payouts, when that quarter comes, you got to pay them out. Or if you're claiming that, you lost the money, that's fine. You just have to provide the documents. And in the lawsuit, the problem was he was not giving people updates on how he invested it, two, what it was in, and then how their investments were doing daily. In other words, it appears that he took the money and we don't know what he did with it, but didn't make the investment. Some allegations are that perhaps he used the money. So how a Ponzi scheme works is you take the money from newer investors and you use that, you spend it on yourself, you do whatever you want. But that keeps the Ponzi scheme going, is you got a few people that you may pay out and then use those people to say good things so you can get money from the rest of them. So that is the biggest Christian goal, like a little miniature update. I'm gonna have the rest for you guys. I'm gonna see if I might do that video tonight. Why not? Sure, why not? Let me do this. I got so much. I'm moving, y'all. So I got so much going on. All right, next up, we're gonna start with, let's do this share. Gabrielle Union. All right. So Gabrielle has opened up about the joys of motherhood. In a new interview, the celebrated actress reflects on the pain that she felt by using a surrogate, calling it, quote, public humiliation. Bless her heart. But she also remembers the beauty of becoming a mom later in life. She says, without coming to motherhood later in life, I would not have had the unmitigated joy that I have now. I also would not have had the money that I have now. I wouldn't have a stable relationship with someone that I want to parent with for the rest of my life. It is a reminder that every parenting story doesn't follow the same script, and that's okay. Union's honesty gives space for those navigating non-traditional paths to still feel whole, seen, and worthy. But also, I don't know, one of the things that a lot that resonated with a lot of people is how she talked about how she had wanted for so long to become a mother and to be pregnant. Now, at this time, she was only dating Dwayne. They were not engaged yet. She wanted to become a mom, and then they, quote, had the break. They had their little break. And then from the break, he ends up getting another woman pregnant. And it was hurtful for her that that this woman could so easily get pregnant, which was a dream of hers, that, she had multiple miscarriages. Whenever I see this story, I just want to start by saying, first of all, that had to have been heartbreaking. And I'm happy to see for them that they chose to get back together, work it out. And here they are today with their happy family. That's great. And which she had through surrogacy. Awesome. No problem. Here is my one issue. Y'all need to quit lying. That y'all is in Gabby and Dwayne. Quit lying and calling it a break baby. That the outside baby is a break. It wasn't no break. Let me tell you why I know this. So Dwayne Wade had gone on this like weird publicity tour back like 6 months before the baby was announced. I want to say 6 months or more than that. It was like a weird publicity tour. It was summertime. I'll never forget. It was summertime, and he was on like primetime TV doing interviews where he slid in the fact that him and Gabby are doing great, but that they had a break at some point prior in their relationship, but they're back better than ever. And I thought, wait a minute, it's summertime, so NBA isn't playing. So it's not like he's on here telling people watch the game. No, didn't have no book out. He didn't have no movie out. It wasn't like that. And usually when you go on, it was nighttime talk. It was like, I don't know, Jimmy Kimmel or one of those nighttime talk shows, right? He wasn't promoting anything. Now, the whole thing about going on nighttime TV is that you are on there to promote something. So when he had nothing to promote at the end of it, I sat there, I was watching it with one of my homegirls and my mom. I said, that man probably got a baby on the way. My homegirl was like, what? You be so random, Symone. I said, no, I think this whole interview was a setup because the only thing that he shared in the interview was that him and Gabby had broken up, but they're back together. I think he probably got a baby, or he's going to have a woman come slide out talking about she was with him. But now he's gone off on this media ploy talking about they were broke up so that when whatever happens, he could be like, oh, I told y'all I was broke up. So not only that, somebody calls it, Queen said, don't call it a break baby. Well, that's what they're calling it. It's tacky in classes. It's okay. The baby can't hear me. So sure enough, later down, the baby is born and they're running around talking about, oh, we were broken up. No, they weren't. Okay. Because this baby would have been born or conceived right around Valentine's Day of that year. And I don't have it pulled up right now. Forgive me, because I was taking long enough. But right around Valentine's Day of that year, Gabby, posted tweets about how much she loved Dwayne and about how Dwayne was the best Valentine ever. So you don't spend Valentine's Day with somebody that you're broken up with. So that's how we knew. But here's the thing, girl, it's okay. Even if he cheated on you, who cares? You are happily married with a wonderful little girl and the family of each of y'all's dreams, and you're doing just fine. So you can be a testament to staying through a marriage and working through. And in fact, when that happened, though, they were not yet married. They were dating. They weren't even engaged. But then she took him back. They worked through things. He proposed, and here we are today. So there you go. It says, like Miss Evelyn says, he was laying it low and spread it wide. You sling it slur, but you got to sling it, but you got to wrap it up. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Next up, we got, oh, he get on my nerves. We got DDG. We're going to do DDG. DDG and, what's her name? I always say it wrong. And Halle Bailey. Hold on. That's not the one I wanted. Un momento. Because DDG gets on my nerve. Here he is. So DDG, here we go. So DDG expresses sadness on his stream after he was seemingly unable to see his son Halo last night while Halle was at the Met Gala, despite, quote, being
not even sleep. I just wanted to hang out with a special person, man.
Talking about his son is a special
That's all I wanted to do tonight for it.
Sir, zip it. Quit coming to social media with y'all's family court drama. Sir, you either need to file for joint custody or zip it. But you trying to make her look bad as preventing you from seeing your son, that's not persuasive, it's not believable, and leave us out of it. Here's why. You got money to pay for everything you want except for a lawyer. That drives me crazy with men, because at the end of the day, you are going to have to explain to your child why it is that we see you on yachts, popping bottles with models and with girls. Why do we see you in the club with buku bottles being sent to your table? Why do we see you spending money on everything but fighting for visitation for your child? Because it makes us feel like we just simply, you don't really want the visitation. You want to control the narrative. Well, control the narrative, but we don't like you. That's what makes people not like you. When I say, um, we don't like you, what I mean is we don't like being in that group chat. And IMO said, yes, men can get custody too. Now more than ever, men are getting 50-50 custody. Absolutely. Especially when you got a situation like this. So if anybody knows DDG, you can send them this little snippet. When you have a situation like this, where the two of the parents, her and him, both are celebrities, you travel for work, but you also have a strong disposable income that you can use for a nanny, a traveling nanny, among other things, then you have an even stronger grounds to go for joint custody. 50-50 joint, or even you could do primary where the mom has primary, but your visitation is 50-50. It could be 1 week on, it could be 1 week off. This is a younger baby, so it varies. If they're still nursing, that varies tremendously. But at the end of the day, you don't get to just roll up to New York after she has already structured her day, both for the Met Gala and for childcare, and be like, well, I want to see my son today. That's not how that works. And children need consistency. So for the men out there who want the visitation structure of, I want to be able to see my kid anytime I want to, that literally isn't consistency. What children actually like, they like knowing, oh, this is dad's weekend. This is mom's weekend. I'm going to be with dad this day, or I'm going to be with that day. Yeah, it says, isn't he a millionaire? It's my understanding that he is. Streaming can bring a lot of money. I know he's got sponsorships. Also, they live in California. California very likely could make it such that, because it seems as though their incomes would be similar, that it could be 50-50. I don't believe the child support itself is the issue here. It seems to be just custody. So if custody is the issue, both of you have equally strenuous jobs. What he should have done is they were living together. He and Halle were living together, and she moved out. The moment she moved out, he should have gone to court and asked for the 50-50 visitation. Why? Because when you're living together, you have 50-50. Generally, like it's expected you have something along those lines, like 50-50, because just simply because if you're both participating, you're there every day, right? So the closer you do it to moving out, the stronger of a case that you might be able to have, because you're able to argue, hey, this is what my kid is used to. It's one thing that the mom moved out. I understand, I respect her wishes, but I want, my child is used to seeing me daily, so we need to now create some type of equal visitation structure where my child can continue that semblance of what they're used to. Someone asked, can she put him on a gag order? A court can. A court can decide that if putting this information in the public is a problem. Here's the issue. It's family court, so it's less likely. Also, it's not like these children are of, like, their child is of age where like the child's friends or, are going to hear it. Like, this is an infant. No one else is going to hear that. And Candy says DDG wants custody of Halle. I believe he misses her extensively and probably wants the whole family back, but that's cute. Also, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Candy, because a lot of times what happens is men are frightened to go. If a man wants her back, a lot of times they will be frightened to file and go to court because they don't want to piss her off. I hear men all the time talk about, well, I didn't want to file this, or I didn't want to ask for 50-50 because I felt like she'd go nuclear. I felt like she would just go off and go crazy. Okay, so which one is it? Do you want visitation and custody of your kid, or do you want to make a friend? At the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your kid. They live hours apart. Thank you, Candy. Daily visits are not likely. So he could probably do either something like every other weekend custody, like a lot of dads get, which is first, third, and fifth, something along those lines. Or it can be a week on, a week off. I have a friend. She's an extremely good, Brenda is her name. Her Instagram is Brenda's My Lawyer. She's a very good Texas family law attorney. Someone had a child under 2. I want to say it was a 3-month-old, and she got that dad 50-50. That child was still breastfeeding, and she still got the dad 50-50. Now, I see some women will say, that's wrong. If the child's breastfeeding, you should not take them from their mom. Hey, that's up to the court. I ain't in it. I will not pretend to know. But in those situations, what happens is when you want that kind of visitation, if you can't get it agreed to, then you ask the court to appoint what's called a guardian ad litem. The ad litem, their sole job is to look into the housing situation at both homes and to give a recommendation to the court as to what should be the visitation and the custody. And here's the things that they do. They, for example, they'll contact the daycare. They'll interview the caregivers at the daycare. If there's a nanny, they'll speak to the nanny. If the kids go to school, they'll talk to the children's teacher, possibly their guidance counselor. And then each parent can suggest who they want to talk to. So, for example, one parent is like, well, I take the kid to all the extracurriculars. The mom doesn't do that. You can put the coaches on the list, any of that. But you've got options. But they do this. They got this basically neutral person who investigates both sides. They go to both people's houses, look at the house, see, how's the structure, make sure the kids have a safe room, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, what you don't get to do is freeze and not spend time with your child or visit your child because you're scared or because you don't want to ruffle feathers. Because when your child grows up and feels like you didn't fight for them, that's a feather that's going to be ruffled. And that's not the one you want to ruffle. It is better to have that difficult conversation with your ex-partner, partner, whatever, as the child is younger, because then you began to create your normalcy and it's a lot easier to stick around with it. I believe he doesn't want custody. He wants to control the child's mom. Symone, thanks for covering this. I wish more parents would go to the law if they can't figure out, or just get a consultation, pay that money, get you a family law consultation, and a family lawyer based on the facts may be able to give you an idea of worst case, best case scenario that you're facing. So you can go from there. At the end of the day, one day you're going to have to pay literally money for the child. You may as well go ahead and go to court to structure visitation of the child. Teray said he's not getting invited to the main events anymore because they're not together. He's realizing she is more famous. Ooh. DDG just looking for attention. He should also be banned from discussing any private family matters publicly. I do think it's very annoying when celebrities do that because it's very clear that they're trying to use the court of public opinion. And that has to be annoying for a mom or a dad. Tracy said, I used to put my daughter on a plane from Connecticut to BMW to Baltimore every Friday, 45-minute plane ride. My kid's dad was petty. But you're amazing, Tracy, for even doing that. There's a lot of parents would say, it's warranted, would say, I'm scared. I don't want to put my kid on a plane. I had a client, I represented a mom. Her daughter was 6 years old, and I was very proud of her. The dad chose to leave Texas, move to Seattle, Washington for a job and basically set up a whole new life. And I was very proud of the mom that when that child turned 7, she agreed to put the child on the plane. It was always the court order that I drew up said it had to be a direct flight, no layovers, but direct flight. She got to walk the child all the way into her seat, buckle her up, give her snacks. The flight attendant, would generally put another kid right next to her, or maybe an elderly senior citizen lady, or the flight attendant would sit nearby. Then on the other end, her father would literally be waiting at the gate for her. They let you do that for children and pick her up. And so she saw her dad. In that case, it was once a month. So it can be done. It can be done. It can be done. All right. Next up on the docket, we got y'all. Let me show you. Next up on this docket is the game. This don't make no damn sense. The game just lost his California mansion. Oh, hold on. Tracy said, my child support was $683 a week. Girl, for how many kids? You did good. That was pretty good. So going back to the game. All right, y'all. The game is in hot doo-doo, poo-poo, pee-pee, caca, because he just can't seem to get it right. Now, the game just lost his California mansion after a long legal battle with Priscilla Rainey, who took him to court over serious accusations from years ago that finally caught up with him. So the game specifically, this all started, I wanted to say, it occurred around 2012 or 13. And what happened, it says the game has been forced to sell his California house to satisfy a $7 million judgment. According to court documents obtained and viewed by Complex, a judge approved the sale of his Calabasas mansion to help fund the judgment in the amount of $7.1 million that Priscilla Rainey won against him in November of 2018. if the proposed sale of the dwelling is likely to produce a bid high enough to satisfy the homestead exemption and any outstanding liens or encumbrances senior to the judgment, creditor's lien, while leaving some amount available to satisfy even a part of the judgment creditor's lien, then the court must grant the application for sale. I'll explain what that means. That means that if the selling home would leave any amount of money left over for the person owed money, Priscilla, after basically after it's sold, the game gets to keep a certain amount of money under California homestead exemption law. Every state has a homestead exemption. And so long as however much it sells for, there's money above that exemption, all that money would go to Priscilla. Now, here's the thing. She sued him. It was back in 2015, claiming he assaulted her while filming the show She Got Game, or He Got Game. It should be He Got Game. Instead of fighting it in court, the game decided not to show up to enough of the court dates that resulted in the judge ruling in her favor, including he did not show up to the trial. I think it was like the VMAs or something. So the trial date had been set for a long time. Then the VMAs was coming. He has his lawyer put in a motion. It's a motion to continue trial, basically to pick another date, saying he can't go. He has to work. He has to attend this awards event. The judge is like, no, let me tell you, your trial date, you know that more than a year in advance, more than a year. So the judge is like, I don't care. No, you need to come to this. So he did not show. And the judge was like, we can't proceed with this without you here, and ruled in her favor. So it's important to know this was actually what's called a default judgment, meaning there was no trial on the merits because he did not take the process seriously. So he did not respond to the petition. He's supposed to answer it by a certain deadline. He didn't answer on time. It took him forever to get a lawyer to enter an appearance. And then basically he wasn't cooperating enough for the lawyer to do his job. Now, here's the other interesting thing. What he was accused of, it wasn't the R word. He was accused of, at some scene at some point, putting his hand up her skirt, something along those lines. This girl done got that many. So the reason why it's such a large amount is because it was default. So what happens is when you don't respond, then the judge says, I'll rule in favor of the plaintiff. And then there's a second hearing where the judge determines what should the plaintiff's damages be worth. And basically, since he didn't show up, the judge said, all right, based on your testimony and your emotional distress, your suffering, the humiliation, whatever it was, the judge felt comfortable granting her this $7 million judgment. But here's what's really stupid. Here's what's really dumb. It's making me wonder, Game, who are your lawyers? I don't think you have any. And I think he must have fired whatever lawyer or discontinued whatever lawyer, wasn't unable to help him win because he didn't show up. Because any lawyer worth a la-di-da would have told him, sir, this judgment is for real. You need to get your behind up and move. You got to leave California. This is what I would tell him if he were my client with that judgment. I say, look, you got two choices. You can file for bankruptcy, which you don't qualify for because this really is your only debt. And you don't ever want to file for bankruptcy as a musician because they make you sell all your assets. His number one asset is any revenue, streaming revenue, any masters. They will literally make you sell your masters. Y'all know Uncle Luke from 69 Boys. Hoochie mamas, up with it. Go ahead, it's your birthday. Him, he filed for bankruptcy back in the day. And some white man bought the rights to go ahead, it's your birthday. Go ahead, it's your birthday. And then when 50 Cent came out with 50 Cent's song, it's your birthday. Go ahead now. However that one went, right? You know what I'm talking about. When 50 Cent came out with that song, 50 Cent was sued for copyright infringing Luke's song. Luke's team won. Luke didn't get a dime. All that money went to the older white man that bought Luke's catalog in bankruptcy, including it was actually the older white man who got the lawyers, filed the lawsuit, etc. So that's what I'm saying. You don't want to file bankruptcy, but what he does want to do is it's simple. Do the same thing O.J. Simpson does. You get your behind up, and you sell your Florida home. I'm sorry, you sell your California home, and immediately buy a Florida or Texas home. Why? Florida and Texas have homestead exemptions that are the most lenient in America. Both in Florida and in Texas, there is no cap. There's no cap on how expensive your house can be. See, California caps it at 600,000, which means if your property is worth 600, then they can force it to be sold. You get to keep the first 600. The rest goes to pay whatever judgment that you own. That's how come, y'all, Diddy is trying to sue is trying to sell his California mansion, and then he can either he's got also a Florida mansion. So he can then try and get an even bigger Florida place. But as long as you take the money from one and you roll it, you have to become a resident of Florida or Texas. But when you do that, that is how come O.J. Simpson pretty much in his lifetime didn't pay a dime and was able to keep his multi-million-dollar residence. It's because what you do is then when you need a little money, you can sell that house and then you go and you buy you a little bit cheaper house. So you sell that $1 million home. Maybe it was a $10 million home. Maybe you sell it and you take one of the millions and you live on it. You do certain things. And then you go buy you another one for $9 million. It's cash too. So with cash, you don't have to worry about the liens, this, that, and the third. But so what the game should have done to prevent from having to sell his home is move to Texas or Florida, buy a mansion there. He like Miami, buy a mansion there, and then he could rent something in California. But he waited too late. This man did not take the law seriously, and this is what happens. It says OJ was smart, had good lawyers and financial investors. Yes, Florida and Texas are red states. That's why their laws protect. Yeah, and it is a really good place, like I said, to try and be judgment proof. Many didn't know that. So I had a homeboy who he used to be a Dallas Cowboys. You can Google this. I had a homeboy who was accused of driving drunk, leaving a strip club, and hitting and killing 2 people with his car. He said that's not what happened, but that was the prosecution's allegation. He was found guilty and sentenced to, I think it did like 7 years in prison. He got 12, but he did 7. Well, what he did was he went and he bought the biggest house he could afford before he went to prison, bought the biggest house that he could afford using and put all the money from his bank account, merged it all together into the one home. Then he got the homestead exemption. And even though his victims won a civil suit, they weren't able to collect from it because all his money was basically in the home maintenance, So there we go. So that's what happened there. Who we got next? Yeah. Oh, crazy. Kanye. Hold on a second. Kanye and Kim. We're moving all along with this docket. Let's see if I can upload this video. This video pissed me off. Hold on. I saw yesterday. Or maybe. No, I think I actually decided not to download the video because I didn't want to repeat what Kanye said with his little trifling behind. All right, so I'll read this article and then we shall discuss because he's a whole hot mess. Which is, all right, so it says Kanye West sends a cease and desist letter to Kim Kardashian over their kids. Kanye West was upset that Kim brought their daughter North to the Met Gala, claiming that it violated their custody agreement. He reportedly sent Kim a cease and desist letter, later stating multiple breaches in their divorce settlement. West also alleged that North was left unattended in a vehicle and exposed to excessive media attention during the event. He says on or about May 5th. Now, first of all, the only reason that we, the public, would know this is he released the darn letter to the media. It says on or about May 5th, your client brought Northwest to the Met Gala in New York City, exposing her to significant media attention, states the letter. Reports indicate that North was left unattended in a vehicle during portions of the event, posing risks to her safety. Additionally, your client has published or authorize the publication of North's images and videos on social media platforms, including TikTok, despite Mr. West's explicit objection to his children's presence on such platforms. All right, come. Sir, I know you're not talking. Kanye, I know you're not talking. I know you're not trying to send anybody a cease and desist. Kanye needs a muzzle. He needs a gag order. He needs all the above, because the difference there is that Kanye's kids are school age. North is what, 12 now? She's same age as Blue Ivy. So her friends are on, she's on TikTok. Her friends are on the TikTok. She sees all this stuff. Yep. All of the above. But also, this is a time to reiterate what a cease and desist letter really is and does. So a cease and desist letter, it's basically asking or demanding that someone stop doing something that they're not supposed to do because it's in violation of a law of some sort. And when you send that cease and desist letter, so it could be here, it could be someone's defaming you, someone's making posts about you, or it could be here where he's alleging that she's violating a court order. But what a lot of people don't realize is cease and desist is a suggestion. Okay. It's a demand where they're saying, if you don't do as I'm demanding here and you don't agree to it. So basically most of them say, we want your client to respond, signing and acknowledging that they're going to cease this behavior and send that signature within 5 days or whatever it's going to be. Hit that like video, guys. We need more likes on the video. But here's the thing. A lot of people misunderstand and think that a cease and desist is a legal demand like from a court. It's not. If you do not comply with the cease and desist, like how I got a cease and desist from Christian Gold and Jennifer. They told me to stop talking about him. I clearly haven't stopped. I opened the video with an update. So, and people were like, but wait, they sent you a cease and desist. The next step is it's up to the client. They can choose to sue you or not. So what happens is if you don't comply, you risk being sued. You absolutely risk being sued. In my situation, though, I knew that the law protected me. For what they told me to cease and desist doing, which was defamation, alleged defamation, under the law of my state, they have to first tell me specifically what I said that was defamatory and then give me a chance to remove it or correct it. So my response to the cease and desist was, at no point have I intentionally sought to defame or in any way misrepresent the facts. Please provide me a detailed outline of each and every statement that I've made, social media or otherwise, that was incorrect, so that I can have the opportunity to both correct and or remove them. They never responded. So that's why my videos are still up. Here, though, this man is going to say, listen to this. So this apparently was, I think he probably wrote this his damn self to her lawyer. On or about your client, with ChatGPT probably. Your client brought Northwest to the Met Gala in New York, exposing her to significant media attention. Okay, drop down. It says, additionally, your client has published or authorized the publication of North's images and videos on social media platforms, despite Mr. West's explicit objection to his children's presence on such platforms. This when you see something like that, that's when you ignore it. It states, despite his explicit objections. Explicit objection is not a court order. He's trying to make you think that what she's doing, Kim is doing, is in violation of their court order. No, if it was, then the letter would say you're doing this in violation of subsection C, page 5. No. First of all, you, sir, Kanye, signed and agreed to a divorce order, child custody and visitation agreement and arrangement that had none of this specified. He could have. They could have went to court. They could have went to trial. They could have fought on these issues, but they didn't. So while this man wants you to think that this is a violation, it is not. It is not. This is her not doing what this wild man wants, what this unmedicated gentleman wants. But like I said, the one who really needs a cease and desist is her. And I hope that she files and she gets one. Now, I believe, last time I checked, their stuff is under seal, and it absolutely should be with what we're dealing with him and then, the age of her kids. But check this out. I'm not posting it because I don't want more people to hear it. But last night, I was livid. I added this to the docket today because I saw a video where Kanye is on a damn golf course with somebody whoever is interviewing him. He looks dusty, dirty, and stinky. He looked like he smells. Okay. He looks like he doesn't bathe. He looks like he smells like a homeless shelter, kind of thing. He just looks stinky. Anyway, he's on there talking and he starts telling North's business. Now, previously, like years ago or something, he revealed that North was dyslexic and Kim was livid. That wasn't public information and didn't need to be. It's absolutely none of our business. Furthermore, this family, sometimes rightfully, gets a lot of critique and criticism. The last thing you want to do is to set people up to critique or criticize a child who has done nothing wrong. Hit that like button, guys. So not only does this fool in this video that's online talk about, well, he says that North both has dyslexia and that she's got some serious problems with her bowels. Are you effing kidding me? Are you kidding me? Why in the would you say that in an internet interview? Are you kidding me? Gloves off. Kim, beat that man in court. Beat it in court. Beat it. Beat it. Beat his tail in court. That's why I did not play the clip for you, because I don't want people to know where it is and more people see it, and I don't want any more humiliation. Literally, as I was about to download it to play, and I was like, no, I feel like if I play this, I'm part of the problem. He said that. He said that. Here's the thing, parents of the world. I think any other parent with sense would know, look, if it's not something that my child themselves would take to the internet to announce, why the would you? Why in the heck would you? She certainly wouldn't do that. So now she's going to go to school come Monday, and kids are going to be like, oh, North got a boo-boo problem, North farts, whatever. I don't care. That is so unacceptable. H. Esquire said it would be a challenge to have him for a dad. Oh, yeah, because he would parent like a narcissist. So a lot of the parenting that he probably does is going to be doing things that are, doing things that piss off the mama simply because they piss off the mom, not necessarily, and not because they're good or bad for the child. He would probably do things bad for the child just to piss off the mama. Let's not forget, Kim filed for an emergency injunction, because injunction means to prevent him from doing something, because he was bringing her to some studio that the Tate brothers, which is Andrew Tate and his brother, who were being charged with SA. They're still have pending charge for that. And he was bringing them to a studio where they were filming a podcast, excuse me, as well as having her around Diddy. Excuse me? Mm-mm. Yeah, he looked like he ain't bathed. Yeah. So anyway, so that is, y'all, that's the Kim Kanye part. I did that. I did game. We did game. That pissed me off. We got the Halle. Oh, real quick, we need to do Pope and we're going to end with the Diddy update. This made me so happy, guys. All right. Hit that like button as you come on in, please, and thank you. Also, don't forget, I have a webinar that's coming out. The webinar is called It's Not Too Late, How to Start Law School as a Grown, Busy Adult. That's going to be this Wednesday at, what time is that? At 7 p.m. Central. You can go to my website, which is right here, SymoneRedwine.com, and you can register for free. It's absolutely for free. And then also don't forget SymoneRedwine.com. You can book a consultation with me anywhere in the nation. I can assist you with your legal matter. And if for some reason your legal matter doesn't fit, I will immediately refund you. So don't worry about that. All right. So here we go. Back to the docket. All right. So Pope Leo, Pope Leo the 14th. That's crazy. Oh, no, Leo the 14th. I thought they're trying to say he was the 14th Pope. I was like, it can't be. It says he has Creole New Orleans roots. See his family lineage and history. So I'm going to speak briefly of that. Now, if you know me, my family on my mom's side is Creole. They are from Louisiana. And so this tickled me to no end. It says a local genealogist and historian was able to trace the lineage of Robert F. Prevost, the Catholic Church's first American Pope, back to New Orleans' 7th Ward. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, 7th Ward is the Creole neighborhood. So sometimes like I'll tease and I'll be like, I'm a 7th Ward shorty, 7th Ward shotty, like that. It means like you look like you're from there. There's some rappers that are like rap about it. Like I have a homeboy who used to tease me and be like, what's up, 7th Ward shotty? So it is the neighborhood that we lived in, and I'll get to explain why. So literally, when his family lived there, everyone there was Creole. It says, she said, Prevost has Creole roots through his maternal grandparents on his mama's side. His findings included a marriage license going back to 1887, where the Pope's maternal grandmother was wed at this particular church. It turns out his mom's family is entirely from New Orleans. Now he personally does not identify as being Black, but that is also consistent with Creoles, and I'll get to that. It says in prior interviews, he said that, it said, yeah, his roots go to the 7th Ward. Someone said, now we know why her cooking was so good. Both her mother and father were from New Orleans, talking about his mama. Now, there's also Haitian roots in there because a lot of people that lived in New Orleans came from Haiti, obviously triangular trade route and so forth. But what I found really interesting is, so on my mom's side, I have Creole relatives. Now my parent is what we call our godfather. It's French for parents, but it's what you call your goddaddy. And so my parent, my Uncle Kenneth, which is my mom's godfather, I remember one day I said something about being Black in New Orleans. He was like, I'm not Black, I'm Creole. I was like, oh. Now, mind you, if he were alive today, he would be 100 years old, right? And so when he said that, that made me realize like it was its own thing. More specifically, when I tracked my family heritage as well, which is the same neighborhood, same street, same ward, I looked at the census and I was like, for race, so it has race. For race, it had MU. I looked at it, I said, Mama, we weren't Mexican. She was like, no, fool, that's not Mexican, it's mulatto. So literally in New Orleans, when you had to check a box for race, the options were Negro or mulatto. And one of the things that was interesting with mine is ours was mulatto. And then my grandmother's mother, my great grandmother, she died like when my grandmother was like 2. My grandfather married a dark-skinned woman. And then once he married her, it no longer said mulatto, MU, it then said N. So what would happen is a census person would come knock on your door. They would ask you, where are you, like, where are you from? You, the husband and the wife. And then they would ask, where are your parents from? And they would put that on there. And so like in this, that's how they know that it was probably Haiti. So when they pulled it up, it was Haiti. But when I did ask about that to my relatives, I was like, what was that? Why did y'all have your own neighborhood? So in other words, the Creoles all lived in that one ward. And a lot of people assume that Creoles thought they were better than other people and this, that, and the third. And I'm sure there were some who did. But my grandma Audrey told me this and it stuck with me for life. She said, Black people thought we had it easy being Creoles, but we didn't. In her opinion, this is my great grandma Audrey's opinion. Now, Grandma Audrey, if you know Corpus Christi is the Black Catholic Church in New Orleans, she actually was a cook and worked at the rectory her whole life at the church. And Black people know she was Creole. She had this silky hair, whatever. White people may have thought she was white, but she said it was actually harder for us Creoles than Blacks. I was like, yeah, right. Because I'm thinking about how now with dating, men have light skin preferences, da, 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 da. She said, no. She said, for example, riding the bus to work, white people could ride in the front, Black people could ride in the back, and us Creoles, we had to walk. I said, what do you mean? She said, a lot of us would get jobs. We would just show up. So her job was she worked at a sewing factory. She said the sewing factory put, ads around town that they were hiring. She showed up to the hiring. She did the test. She could sew. They hired her. But she said she had to walk 2 miles each way to work, 3 miles each way to work and 3 miles home. She couldn't take the bus like her peers because if she did, she said one of the Black people would say, girl, Audrey, what you doing up there with them white folks? Girl, you Black like us. And she would lose her job. So, I say that to say, she said throughout her life, white people would pick on her really, really bad. And then blacks would pick on her really, really bad. So she said that is in part why they developed their own neighborhood. It wasn't that other people couldn't live there. It was just generations continued to have the same house or residence, and people were really mean. And I can't, it's weird I've always been black, right? But when I went to public school for the first time, I met girls who were biracial. And when they met me, they were like, oh, you're biracial too. And I was like, no. And I was very clear on not pretending to have their reality, because I believe is a sensitive reality to have, a mom that was white or a dad that was white. That's their own reality. And I don't want to, that's not mine. My parents are black. Both my parents are black. But I do remember, though, being light-skinned in middle school, and there were times where certain girls would be like, oh, she thinks she's cute because she's light-skinned, da-da-da-da. Now, mind you, I grew up back when all it took to be pretty was be light-skinned with long hair. I mean, it was some butt ugly girls in middle school with bad attitudes, but were light-skinned with long hair, and all of a sudden people treated them like they were pretty. Luckily, no, y'all know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I say that to say, I often wondered, I was like, oh, I wonder if it was kind of similar to that, how like in middle school or those grades, certain girls would treat you away because they thought, oh, well, you think you're better, right? So then, because I had the issue of when I moved to Tampa, Florida, went to middle school, it was the first time in public school. And I say that because private school was smaller, but at public school, the black girls were really, really mean to me. They were like, you think you're, and I'm talking like 5th grade, 6th grade. They were horrendous to me. The white girls were very nice to me. The Jewish girls were very nice. And then I had like the black girls that were in my talented and gifted class, which was usually at most one other. They were always nice to me. But by and large, so I found that interesting because it says, yes, simply said, just goes to show grass isn't always greener. Yep, it does go on nowadays. Another dictionary, a person of mixed French. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cassandra D is defining Creole. It's a person of mixed French and Spanish and Black descent, speaking a dialect of French or Spanish. Exactly. So like my cousin's last names are Menendez, Martinez. In New Orleans, you pronounce it Martinez, not Martinez, the same thing. So because his is in the Pope, one of his ancestors' last name was Martinez. And I saw on Twitter, there was some white people that were like, he wasn't Black, he was Hispanic. And I'm like, you're dumb. You clearly don't know what Creole is. So Creole means Black and other stuff. So you can't be Creole without having Black in you. But it is Black, French, and Spanish. And that was because Louisiana was owned by all of them. And if you go to Haiti, you'll hear Haitian Creole. So Creole people all have Black in them. It did so much. It did so much damage. Someone asked I think you're jumping back to the game. Can he appeal his case? The answer is nope. Took too long. He could have back in the day. He took too long. He did nothing. Cynthia A says, I got the same treatment from Black public school girls that transferred to the Catholic school that I attended. Dang, I'm sorry to hear that. All right, don't forget, guys, I'm going to drop the link one more time. If someone wants to do a call in, if you got a legal question and you want a legal opinion, I'm not going to call it advice because you didn't pay me and you're not about to sue me if you do whatever on your own. But we're gonna move from this one now. We're gonna conclude with Mr. Diddy. With Mr. Diddy. Dum dum Diddy. Where was it? Oh, this was that video. I'm not playing it for you, but this was that video. Hold on. It is. Here we go. All right. All right, here we go. Diddy update. And thanks you guys for hanging out. So glad to see you on a Thursday. On a Sunday. This is your legal bestie again. And let me see. It's so true. My mom's just said that the other day to myself, how she used to get jumped by other girls in the hood because she was mulatto. It is so damaging. Let me say this too. I want to say this one last thing on the topic. This is the topic I had just been talking about, which was how Pope Leo is of Creole heritage. So basically his grandparents were Creole, which means they had Black blood. They lived in the Black neighborhood. All of their neighbors were Black, inclusive of my grandmother and my grandmother's people. But let me say this. Mulatto, the rapper, Lotto is who she is now. She got a lot of right, for coming out with the name mulatto. And I always felt that wasn't necessarily fair. Number one, her mom is white and her mom may not have realized the complete connotation, but also in Louisiana, that was a legalized category. That was a legal category, I want to say until the 60s. And then they just merged it. They took it away completely and it's just Negro. But I say that to say because mulatto was if she was in New Orleans, she absolutely would be checking the mulatto box. And I get that it's a negative connotation, but it was given to us by the government. So her mother is white, her father is black. Her mom was 16 when she had her, right? So I'm saying like her mom is probably is or 15, I think. Her mom is 15 years older than her. So I don't think that her mom had any negative intention, or her dad rather. You're right. It's Mia saying her dad, because her dad was her manager and who likely came up with the name. And that black man, you got to hold that black man accountable. But also, you know, technically she is mulatto, and there is a group, there's a time basically when it wasn't the derogatory term that it is today. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's get back to Diddy. So I started this video and I had an initial different caption because, child, I was minding my business, like cleaning my house or whatever. And you know how on YouTube it'll, because I like to watch lives. It had suggested a live, and this live was from a blogger that covers this and other cases frequently. I'm not going to say who because it doesn't matter. This is like a common thing with bloggers. And so in the chat, he had said something legally, and I'll get to what he said. And I said, that's incorrect. That's not how that works. And boy, he went off. He was like, you're a liar. You're a liar. And so I said, okay, I went to Cornell. Which law school did you go to? And so it was like, I wouldn't admit that I went to Cornell if I'm wrong. And I'm like, well, not wrong. I mean, he did very good for a non-lawyer covering what he's covered to the extent he's covered, but there was an area that he was wrong, and it's a common myth. So we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about victim 5. But I say that to say, like, there's a lot of bloggers out here. There's room for everyone. And it doesn't, if someone says that's incorrect, that's not someone being like, and therefore no one should watch this video. No. Specifically, what I was talking about is there's a lot of talk about victim number 3. This is what we're talking about, y'all. Victim number 3, which I've said in a prior video, I believe is likely oh yeah, Hibiscus, you were there. Feel free to give your commentary. Here you go. Victim number 3. Hold on real quick, y'all. Let me get this. My water won't come up. Hold on real quick. Let me put this big on the screen. Give me one quick second. Here we go. Woo! Sorry. Here we go. All right, here we go. Sorry. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Woo. Sorry, guys. I had to take my medicine. Oh, child. Y'all remember when I had that sore throat 2 weeks ago? Child, is still getting me. It's getting me. Sorry, but yes. So on the live, basically, a lot of different bloggers have been making commentary about victim number 3. What happens if she doesn't show up and how that works? So number 1, with victim number 3, it's alleged that it's Gina. We're not exactly sure, but it's alleged. And as a result, she's already been subpoenaed, but they can't seem to find her. They can't get communication from her or her lawyer. So the judge specifically asked, and mind you, I believe it was outside the presence of the jury, because this was jury selection, and that you never want in your opening to tell the jury that you're going to call a witness and then don't, or that they're going to hear such and such from a witness and then they don't, because then it makes you look like a liar and it loses credibility for your entire opening and your entire case. And the last thing you want to do is lose credibility. So with victim number 3, the issue is she was mentioned in the indictment. So to the extent, if she does not show up, to the extent that there is certain elements of a crime that only her testimony can prove, then he would get off on those areas. Now, I don't think that there's going to be anything that there's anything in the indictment where she would be the only one to be able to prove it out. But again, if that's the case, How it works is if you don't bring the witness that's got that evidence, you don't get, she doesn't, then that has to be thrown out, or he has to be found. It can either be thrown out by the judge, or he would need to be found not guilty. The judge more likely would actually direct that the jury doesn't even get to consider whatever offense if she would be the only one to have evidence on it. Furthermore, so many have said, well, she'd already been deposed. She did an affidavit. They've taken her testimony. Mm-hmm. And some bloggers are like, well, they can use that if she doesn't show up. No, they cannot. No, that's not how this works. The Fifth Amendment, is it the fifth? The Fifth Amendment is the right to not have to testify, right? But you also, I think it's the fourth, you have the right to cross-examine your accusers. You can't cross-examine an affidavit. I'm talking even people have died. People have given on the criminal side, people have given depositions, been critical criminal witnesses, given depositions and died. And they still did not and could not use that under oath deposition that is considered testimony to prove the criminal case, because it prevents the defendant the chance to cross-examine. Because on cross-examine, you could show that this person's lying. You could show X, Y, and Z. So no, an affidavit ain't going to get it, buddies. It's not going to get it. Now, on the civil side, you can get away with that. Under certain circumstances, you absolutely, because it's already under oath testimony. And on the civil side, you don't have the same guarantees because you're not a criminal. You're not at risk of going to jail. But yes, if she can absolutely get arrested. So what happens is the subpoena has been issued. She has been subpoenaed, which probably means it's been served on her. Once it has been served on her, if she chooses not to come, they can absolutely arrest her. If she's in another country, they cannot go to the other country. So there's rumors. I said, she probably over there in Bali, sitting next to Russell Simmons. If she's over there in Bali next to Russell Simmons, y'all still can't arrest her. Okay. You can't go over there to get her. You got to wait till she comes back. And when she comes back, even if it's years later, they absolutely can arrest her. They can hold her in contempt. But here's the problem. Let's say they find her. Because allegedly she's supposed to be hiding out somewhere. They don't know where. But she's supposed to be hiding out now. Yep, Simply Sydney said, I hope Diddy did not. Here's the thing. It looks kind of bad for Diddy. I heard one version, an alleged version, that her attorney may have been working to negotiate a civil settlement with Diddy. If that is the case, I believe that the prosecution could jump all over that, using it as a form of tampering with a witness. How is it that you're now settling a civil matter with a key testifying witness before the criminal trial? That would be weird. But also, here's the problem with, I do not believe that I do not believe that they will force her to testify. I'll say this. It is highly unlikely that they would force her. So this is where I disagree with a lot of bloggers. A lot of them are saying, or some have said, oh, they're going to make her come. If they can find her, they're going to make her. Here's why that doesn't really make sense. And then this is the difference of, like, as a practitioner, right? I've been doing this for over a decade, almost 2. We understand the law. Anybody can Google the law. We got ChatGPT, we got AI now, right? Anybody can find out the law. But when you're a practitioner, you know how it's applied in real time. So here's how this will work. Subpoena issued, she don't show up. Then what would happen is, if they locate her, they then go find her and they arrest her. They have to then bring her in to the Brooklyn MDC, to the same federal prison holding area. Okay, the one for women, not men. They will hold her in prison. Hold her in prison until the judge pauses the trial or whatever. It would be it would not be in front of the jury, but it would be a separate hearing where the judge would hold her in contempt and say, girl, where were you? You were supposed to be here. We've been looking for you. And or even if it's before her day to testify, right? Because week 1 is supposed to be all Cassie. A judge could say, we don't think that you're going to show up because of how you've behaved. We're going to keep you locked up until your date to testify, whatever date that is. The judge could also restructure the order of witnesses so that she could come a bit sooner so she doesn't have to stay locked up. But here's the real issue. if you got to sit in a jail cell till your time to testify, you really think you're going to say something supportive of the prosecution when they're the ones that got your butt locked up in the first place? While yes, you got yourself locked up to a large extent because you should have showed up. You really think, yes, IMO is saying she's a victim too. That is correct. She is a victim. But I'm just walking you through the process of how it works when someone's subpoenaed, they don't show up, and then they arrest them. They locate them and arrest them. Because of how she would have to, like I said, sit there in the jail, have the hearing with the judge, go before the judge, explain why she's not been responsive, blah, 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 and then testify. I highly doubt the prosecution is going to want to do that, because what you don't want is a key witness to be disgruntled, because she could get on that stand and say, I don't remember, I don't recall, I don't recall. I don't recall is generally not considered perjury, generally. But that I don't, but either way, what it does is it messes up the strength of your case. When you are going after someone like Diddy with the well-oiled machine that he has behind him and has hired him, you don't want no witness that you call coming up there talking about, I don't recall. And then that's the witness that's supposed to prove up your case. Girl, bye. Now, it's one thing if he calls a witness and that witness is saying something along those lines, but it is the prosecution's burden to prove their case. So if they got people up there wasting the jury's time, remember, this jury's got to be there for 8 weeks. They're going to be annoyed. They're going to be like, well, why the hell did you prosecution call him in the first place? So it says, would I have recommended that he take the plea deal or go to court? So I had to know what the deal was to be able to recommend that. And I don't know what the plea was, but I do believe that the plea was 20 years or more. See, in order for him to say no, it means that whatever was offered, it was such a large amount that it was better for him to roll the dice. He's 50 years old. So a 20-year sentence, this is federal. So you got to do the majority of your time. If you're dealing with that's almost a life sentence for him. He looks like he's not doing well health-wise. So no, I would not have I wouldn't have advised that. Can she get an obstruction charge? No, it wouldn't be obstruct. So here's the thing. You guys are asking excellent questions. What can be done and what is likely to be done are two different things. So no, she couldn't get an obstruction. She is a victim. And what I do think is likely the case is that when they first approached victim 3, they likely approached her and said something along the lines of, look here, Missy. They said, listen, you can be a witness or you can be a co-defendant. It's your choice. Tell us about what he made you do. Tell us about how you set up the freak offs, how you hired people, how you booked their travel, how you helped to transport them from state to state. I believe her testimony is going to be things that support that, because that was a role, whether it's Gina or elsewhere, that is actually one of the areas of testimony that they do need to help substantiate certain things. Cassie can speak to it, but this would be an additional witness to speak to it, right? Well, if they approached her with the whole, you could be a witness or you could be this, she likely was very willing initially to work with them because she didn't want charges brought against her. This is also consistent with many have said, well, wait a minute, it's supposed to be Rico. How come he's the only person being charged? Well, here's why. He's the only person being charged because likely the deals that they made to other people, they likely went to the others and said, listen, you can either be a co-defendant or you can be a witness. What we offer you is going to be contingent upon your willingness to come and testify in support of the prosecution. So what's happening is first they're going to make each of those people testify and then execute whatever deal. So those people and their lawyers likely already have whatever deal is going to be offered to them written down, ironed out, but it's not going to be cemented and confirmed until after they testify. And you do it that way because otherwise people will take a deal, go into the courtroom and say, I don't remember. Remember YSL Woody in the YSL trial who don't remember nothing? That's what they do. And when you do it, and if you give them the offer prior to testimony time, they always pretend like they don't remember, especially when they're dealing with someone who's allegedly tampering with witnesses, right? Because they say they're scared or they'd be offered money, any of the above, and then you're screwed. Whereas also, it's much better to have a witness take the stand, and when asked, did you accept a deal from the prosecution? Technically, if they haven't executed everything, they could honestly say, well, no, I haven't, right? Because the prosecution has told them, this is what we're considering offering you, but we got to get your testimony. After your testimony, we'll confirm everything. That means they haven't received a deal. Perhaps a deal has been discussed or offered, and they can talk about that. But it's way better to have a witness up there who says, no, I have not signed a deal with the prosecution, and here's my testimony, than one who has. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. Simply City said Woody was wild. I could see Gina doing that. Yes, they do not want an ASAP Relly situation either. You don't want, what's her name, Gina on that stand, cutting up and being disgruntled in the way that with ASAP Rocky, the key witness, Relly was. Everything hinged on whether or not the jury liked Relly, and clearly they did not. Does he have a chance of getting off completely? I would say whenever you have a legal team as he has, he does. So here is their strategy is going to be consensual. The theme is consensual. I said this before, that she's a verified girl. The kind you don't say come to mama. And that's in part because the questionnaire that they actually had the jurors complete, it actually had a statement on there that said there's people cheating, there is people with multiple sexual partners. Do you feel like you could be unbiased effectively, was what the question was asking? Or do you feel like you would judge, or do you feel like you would be unable to put those facts to the side to judge on the evidence? So it's going to be all about freak hoseness, okay? But also, Diddy's team is arguing that Cassie was violent too. That she done knocked him on the head, that she did this or that. It's my understanding that they're going to set up the context for the CNN video that we saw, the hallway video, to say that the video stemmed from Cassie taking Diddy's cell phone and an argument over that. That's fine. Either one. We've seen men get mad about their girlfriends taking their phone all the time, but they're trying to say that she was violent too. In other words, there could be no coercion if she was unafraid. And by her being violent to him demonstrates being unafraid. However, we did read in her own petition, in her lawsuit, that there was a time or two when she did go back at him. She hit him back. So for example, they're probably going to reference, there was a time when there was a driver. Diddy's driver was driving, and Diddy is kicking her, punching her, and she starts kicking and hitting and punching him back. And that driver talks about pulling over, separating the two, making Diddy sit, I don't know, in the very back and her in the front, or whatever he did. He pulled over and he separated them. They're probably, as in Diddy's team, is probably going to call that guy to testify that Cassie was whooping that butt back. But anybody who's dealt with DV can probably say there are times when you're just like, not today. You're not hitting me today. I'm sick of this. And you lash out. You swing back, especially if you feel like there's a third party there, i.e. the driver, who might either help break it up or take your side. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. It was out of self-defense. Stop the cap defense. It was out of self-defense. Which part was self-defense? Tell me that part. Yep, Grace Jabari took Jonathan Major's cell phone, right? And that started the whole situation, running down the street for the cell phone. Yeah, Cindy said, I think she finally fought back like Ike and Tina Turner. But that doesn't mean she was the aggressor. Also, there could be times when someone might be aggressor, but not in other times. I think it is clever of them to argue no coercion because Cassie was fighting back. Therefore, she could speak up when she wanted to. Yep, exactly. Said victims fight back all the time. Hibiscus says, I can concur. Something about this whole case makes me think Cassie is not innocent, that she may be a co-defendant termed victim witness. So I think it depends on which thing. So I do think she acknowledges in her civil petition that she helped set up freak-offs. So hypothetically, that could be conspiring to do some of the trafficking, some of the things that, the freakouts had drugs, those kinds of things. That could be the case. But here, and I think they're going to probably get to that fact very out the gate. That's something you want to make clear to the jury, like, hey, she participated in some of these things, but what we're going to show you is that it was not consensual. She did it out of fear, out of this, out of that. And then that's where they'll establish and bring out the other alleged things that he did, like hanging her homegirl off the balcony, blowing up Kid Cudi's car, those kinds of things. For me, even if you argue she was an aggressor, so basically if they argue Cassie was sometimes an aggressor, of all of the examples of cruel things that happened outside of the video, for me, when I learned of this particular situation, and it has always upset my soul, which was he wanted her to get boobies, to get a boobie implant. She gets the boobies, and anybody who's seen or knows anyone who's got boobies knows when you first get them, they look humongous. He felt they looked too large. He made her snatch them out the next day. She was terrified, crying, screaming, all of the above. Now, by snatch, he didn't do it physically, but he called and cussed out the doctor, the cosmetic surgeon, and told the doctor, these are too big. This is horrible. I hate it. Threatened to hurt him, the doctor, if he didn't immediately remove them from Cassie. Well, anyone who's had that kind of surgery, you can't go back in there. You can't go back in there that close to the healing and all of the other stuff. But he made that doctor. It was malpractice. Okay. If the statute of limitations had not passed, Cassie probably could have filed malpractice against that doctor. But that doctor, under threat for his life, took them suckers right back out. And she was in excruciating pain for something she didn't even want in the first place. She didn't even want them. That says to me, that speaks to, so when you've got defense arguing coercion, I don't know that this example will make it into court. But if it does, I feel that that's a good example of the opposite of coercion, of how she literally, like, for something like that, like if your boyfriend comes and says, they're too big, I want you to take them out. In my mind, I'd be like, oh, no doctor's going to do that. So I've got some time. I can buy some time, heal, and deal with his little goofy self later as I lay down and try and recover. But then when you are so powerful and your name and your rep and your money so long that you can make a doctor violate the Hippocratic Oath, that you can make a doctor commit malpractice and put me through some of the most excruciating pain in my life to get what you want, that would frighten me. That would let me know just how risky it would be to go against this man or to tell on him or anything like that. I said, why did he drag and beat Cassie? Oh, after he had the bag, he's lying like he's done since day one. Isn't that doctor passed away now? I heard that he was, but arguably, even if he is, that would make sense why he couldn't be a witness. However, if his records still exist, then those records could be used. But also, Cassie's going to be there. Cassie can tell the story. The story itself is not hearsay. The story is not hearsay. Hearsay, because some people think, well, if a person's in the court, it's not at court, it's hearsay. No. Hearsay is if Cassie gets on the stand and says, well, the doctor told me X, Y, and Z. But what she can say is, I got the boobs done. I was fine with them. They were big. I was fine with them. He immediately said he wanted them removed. And a doctor, at his direction and demand, despite my screaming, crying, and everything, the doctor removed them. You see what I'm saying there? So you can't say what the doctor said. Only the doctor or some of his staff. Any one of the doctor's staff, every doctor's office has a document custodian. So whoever was over those doctors' records, they can come to court. They can pull the records in and they can read from the records and say, yep, she got the surgery on Monday. Diddy called, cussed him out, and made him take him out on Wednesday and never, and she can say, and someone from the office can say, that is something we will never do before and never done since. It is dangerous. It is painful. That is something that person can say, based on my knowledge, experience, and my personal opinion, having worked with that doctor, that is only something that doctor did because he must have been in fear of his life. Other side will argue speculation, but roundabout, you get my point. And yeah, the plastic surgeon that did her boob job is dead. I think a car accident. Oh, that is right. Yeah, it was something spooky. Do I think if Cassie was given, oh yeah, 100%. Complete full. The reason she's given full immunity, and it's absolutely what you would do, is, but for her story, there wouldn't be a case. There wouldn't be a case. Also, those are the kind of witnesses you need to give full immunity so they can tell it all. And tell it all without worrying about what they would be facing or what they would be in trouble. Also, when you judge it based on who is more culpable, who created more harm. There is probably no harm Cassie could have created on a grand scale without Diddy's instruction, without Diddy's money, without Diddy's power and influence. Because as we have saw, when Cassie's will or her desire conflicted with Diddy's, Diddy always got what he wanted, including her removing them boobies. Thank you. Make it make sense that the doctor flew off a cliff. That's right. Now I'm going to make it make sense. He's on his way to Cali. Did you make it? I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear your commentary there. They're going to get. But yes, I remember it was. So Mims, if you go to his channel, he has a really good video that's literally on all the suspicious deaths surrounding Diddy. And I want to say it was at least like 8 people. It's wild. That's a good refresher for this trial. A really good. It's got Kim, of course. It's got that doctor. It's got this guy who was dating Kim, Shakur, somebody. We got Tupac, of course. But yes, prayers for Cassie. She's been going through it now. Okay, now, last but not least, this situation, we got a victim number 5. It says, prosecutors reveal victim number 5 and that they might testify. Now, there's a list of alleged Diddy victims involved in the trial is expanding because we've learned the feds also have what they're calling V5. Prosecutors buried the existence of the 5th victim and legal docs last month, but victim 5 just came up in court Friday. I want to hear your thoughts on who you guys think is victim number 5. Hold on a second. Tracy Renee said, I'm a medical director. My boss died of cancer. I shipped all the files to a vault facility within 7 years. And after 7 years, they were destroyed. Makes perfect sense. I do believe that there is a 7-year period. I know for us lawyers, we keep our records generally for 7 years. What about the quorum lady? She's not going to take the stand. I don't believe she's not one of the numbered victims, like victim 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But she likely is. I'm sure she's going to be a witness because I feel like she was one of the first people on the business side that flipped against him, because otherwise she would absolutely be facing issues because she was known to have coordinated, paid people, all of the above. Oh, he said, I made it. About to head to the courthouse to see how long of a walk I will have. I'm so excited. All right, y'all, we're going to have to stay tuned to Mims and make it make sense tomorrow. He will be reporting from the Diddy courthouse. Yeah, he said quorum definitely flipped. She was one of the first ones. Remember, she also did a settlement agreement with Tyrone Blackburn in the Little Rod case because she was like, get me out of here. Because another thing, guys, with these civil suits, for the most part, each of his staffers have to hire their own lawyer. They have to hire their own lawyer, pay their own lawyer, defend themselves. Why? Because there's a conflict of interest between that staff member and Diddy. In other words, a lawyer can't represent the two in these civil cases where there is an obvious conflict. Here, the conflict is that more than likely for that worker, like Coramian, to be, or Corman, whatever her name is, KK, to be found civilly not liable for an offense, she has to point to her boss and say, he made me do it or he did it. I didn't do it. So when you have that, you can't have the same lawyer, which means these people are incurring all kinds of legal expenses because they've been wrapped up with him and he can't pay it. in a way, that's going to relieve them. So hell yeah, they're like trying to get the heck up out of there. Yeah. Yeah. KK, Capricorn Clerk, or whatever his name is. All right. Now going back to victim number 5. I'm going to read this for you guys. And then I want you guys in the chat, let me know, who do you think is victim number 5? It says, according to docs obtained by TMZ, the feds appear to be introducing this potential witness as evidence that Diddy committed an act of S misconduct in the past, which he's not being charged for in this case. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, we're gonna process that. So it's an act of S misconduct that he did in the past, but that he's not being charged for in this case. So perhaps maybe to show his level of coercion, his power, his penchant for non-consensual behavior, perhaps as part of it. It says Diddy's legal team tried to keep this alleged victim story out of the trial, but the judge is willing to allow at least some of the testimony. As for the other 4 alleged victims, Cassie has long been established as victim 1. There are concerns victim 3 may not even show up to testify, who we think is Gina, despite a subpoena. And then it says in court filings, prosecutors have said victim 2 is expected to deliver anonymous testimony about financial losses, dependency, as in on drugs, and social isolation she experienced during their relationship, all of which made her more vulnerable to his coercion. Oh, okay, wait. So that's victim 2 we're talking about here. It says again, victim 2 is expected to deliver anonymous testimony about financial losses, dependency, and social isolation she experienced during her relationship with Diddy, all of which made her more vulnerable to his coercion. So that means whoever victim 2 is someone he was dating. Someone he was dating. So that means it's not the chef. It's not, there was the one model girl. It could be that model. The model girl who's like the white model girl. She won some type of modeling competition and then says she was attacked by him. Now that's victim 2. So let's see. Who do we think victim 2 could be? Somebody thinks it could be Aubrey. Sure could be. Financial losses, dependency, social isolation during her relationship. All of it. It could be. Is it one of the men? No, we got a she here. There's a she. So it's not one of the men. So victim 2, someone thinks it could be Young Miami. I am more like Young Miami, especially with her familial history of incarcerations. She's like 3 generations. Her mom recently came out of the Fed successfully. It was like scamming. They don't hurt people physically. They don't physically hurt people. I have trouble seeing Miami as one to take the stand. I feel like if she gets called, I could absolutely see her being called by the defense. Absolutely. I just can't see her coming up there for the prosecution, not voluntarily. All that man has done for her, and I believe he's still probably taking care of her from afar. And I could see him taking care of her like that because he knows she's a down chick. She's probably one of the least of his worries. But yeah, it says, no, it's not one of the men. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said it's not Superhead. Aubrey did date him. That's part of why Aubrey was so angry, is because by using date loosely, they were intimate. And yeah, absolutely. That is part of it. So the victims were his ex-girlfriends. I'm sure that is the side, the story that his team is going to say that they were ex-girlfriends, which sounds way better. If everybody here is a disgruntled ex-girlfriend, that sounds way better for the defense side versus employees that were exploited, coerced. It says, yeah, can't rule out Gina. Yeah, Gina could be 2 as well. She could be 2 instead of 3 because we're not exactly clear about what 3 is going to talk about. Gina could definitely be 2 or 3. Financial losses, dependency. Dependency means somebody hooked on drugs. Now we know, I'm pretty sure Aubrey had a drug challenge at some point. I don't know that Young Miami had a drug. Well, we would know. We would know that. And it says the feds also say they have a 4th alleged victim, a former Diddy employee who was allegedly coerced into S acts. A former Diddy employee who was alleged. Now that victim 4, that might be the dude. That might be Lil Rod. I don't know. It was Aubrey never publicly dated Diddy. It was always secret. And I've had multiple sources confirm that part of why she was so astonished with how he treated her is because they were screwing. So it was not a, you're going to take me out to eat and this, that, like, he was not courting her. He was screwing her. And multiple people have acknowledged seeing the two of them messing around in the studio and things like that. And I'd be mad too. Let me tell you something. If I'm screwing my boss, first of all, I'm not coming to work every day. I'm not working hard. Okay. If you got me working hard with my buttercup, I ain't working hard with my brain. I'm not coming every day. Okay. I'm coming when I want. I'm leave when I want. You're not about to work me hard and talk to me crazy in front of my group members and make me do it to you. Absolutely not. Have some common courtesy. Make it make sense is I'll never forget he took Aubrey and Cassie to Sundance. Oh, yes. Oh, Key Love as a guest. Is it Misa Hilton? First of all, yeah. Oh, former employee. What about the girl from the band, Sarah? You guys, these are some good guesses. Could it be Sarah? I think Sarah would love to testify. I believe Sarah is still married to her husband, but the allegation was that basically Diddy propositioned her, kind of forced her to cheat or whatever. And that one of the other band members tells this story where he recently told it on social media. He was being interviewed where he said he went to go look for her for something, opened the door, and she was bent over and Diddy was doing it to her. Now, mind you, at this time, she was married, and I think she even had a small child. But yeah, that was Sarah, bless her heart. But honestly, when I see that though, with the staff members, that's sexual harassment. When the boss makes the staff do it to them, that's sexual harassment. So I think that is those kinds of examples. Oh, Sarah's divorce. Thank you. Those type of examples are consistent with coercion. That's absolutely consistent with coercion. But I also believe the way that Diddy's power dynamic works and the way that he loves to show his power is by forcing you to be intimate with him if you want a chance at a future. If you want to make it in this industry, you better perform. I said Mary J would be smart too. But yeah, it could be Mary J, financial losses, dependency. She did have a dependency issue and social isolation she experienced during her relationship. Because relationship doesn't have to mean intimate or sexual. You're right. A relationship could also be a business relationship. It says the feds have a fourth alleged victim, a former Diddy employee who is allegedly coerced into sex. I don't know if Mary J was doing it to him. Could it be the Asian ex-girlfriend? She reported. Yeah, the Asian ex-girlfriend, she's one of these numbers. I think she's one of these numbers. Now, for number 5, I think number 5 is likely going to be, I don't even want to say her name. I don't want to say that. Should I say her name? I guess we're saying names. I think number 5 might be, let me go back up to the description of number 5. Witness number 5, or victim number 5. Victim number 5 will not be granted well, we'll find out. Okay, I can tell you that because she's not going to be given anonymity. So then I don't have to worry about any, ethical duty I could have to protect her identity. But it says victim number 5 will not be granted anonymity. The feds appear to be introducing this witness as evidence Diddy committed an act of misconduct in the past, which he's not being charged for in this case. Y'all know who that is. Here's my guess. Put money on it. Victim 5, I think that is going to be Thalia Graves. That was the one where there was a scandal that Make It Make Sense uncovered, where she had basically her ex. So the situation was her ex worked for Diddy, and she was at the studio or something hanging out. Her ex was a producer. She was at the studio or something hanging out. And Diddy had called his security guard and his driver had called or whatever and said, hey, we need to talk to you about your boyfriend, our producer. He needs to straighten up or he's getting fired. Come with us. We're going to have a conversation. And she had been cool with Diddy through her producer boyfriend this whole time. She gets in the car with them. He takes her to whichever location, one of his locations. And there, both he and Diddy and I believe it was the bodyguard, assault her. That was Thalia Graves' position. and that happened. That was back in like 2001, 2005, in that area. And that it happened to her, but that, and that her boyfriend then found out about it, and he was devastated, he was crying, etc. But that because he worked for Diddy, like he was like, don't go to the police, don't do anything about it. And I think she did not go to the police back then, or she went and it didn't go any further from that. Either way, I could be incorrect there. Don't quote me on the going to the police component. But that was the one where I'll never forget. The boyfriend then released a text message today, like in the last year. I think he did that at the end of 2024. He released a text message to TMZ, claiming that that it was a setup, and that she texted him saying, how much money do you want to testify on my behalf? Do you want 4 million, basically? When apparently that was only a snippet of the text messages, but not actually what happened. Apparently we'll get into how that went, but that is likely that victim 5, who would not be granted anonymity. It would make sense. You're not going to give her anonymity when she's got a pending civil case against him where she's not anonymous. She's not anonymous in her case. She's being represented there by Gloria Allred. So then her situation may be to show, that would absolutely show levels of coercion, right? Because he coerced her into the S assault. There was the witness of both. She was there. I think it was the driver. The other the security guard was there. And then also her ex-boyfriend, the producer at the time, was a employee of Diddy who likely coerced to prevent her from going to the police, et cetera, et cetera. Someone said, I think Dawn is one of the victims, former employee. She never had S with him. Makes sense that whoever victim 2 is, I'm sure she's Asian. Wait. Let me see. Victim 2. It says, okay, victim 2 is expected to deliver anonymous testimony about financial losses, dependency, social isolation she experienced during their relationship, all of which made her more vulnerable. So, yep, that could be Gina or the baby mom. I don't think any of the baby moms will be involved, because I don't think they want to risk their child not getting a trust fund or anything else. You should also be able to file a civil suit if you agreed to the SA. You shouldn't. Okay, you should not be able to file a civil suit if you agreed to the SA. It should be for criminal only. If you file for harassment, then you should be able to choose. I think agreeing to the SA. Now, in the examples that I just gave, which was Thalia Graves, she didn't agree to nothing. Cassie, I think maybe you're talking about Cassie. Cassie arguably consented to certain instances. Do I think his defense is going to work? I need to see more of the evidence to see how the defense works. I think that it's definitely going to be about how the narrative is told. But I think the biggest obstacle is going to be that video, just because he first said it never happened. Then you've got the video. It's going to make him lose credibility with the jury. Oh, someone argued that victim 5 could be Lori Ann Gibson. Only problem with that is victim 5 is a victim that's being called to the stand to speak about, it says, an sexual misconduct in the past, which he's not being charged for. So it's going to be a victim of some type of S misconduct that he did in the past that he's not being criminally charged for in this case. So more than likely, it's one of the people that has filed a civil case against him. And so the other thing to notice, y'all, who's doesn't seem to be included is Little Rod. I wouldn't be surprised if the prosecution does not call Little Rod. I wouldn't be surprised, because they're going to want their case, their evidence, their witnesses to be so tight, so, so tight, so well put together. They want to find the best possible witness to testify to each element that they have to prove. And I just don't know that Little Rod would be the best for any of those areas, because again, remember, his ultimate lawsuit was filed because Diddy he was producing for Diddy for a year, and Diddy only offered to pay him $19,000. It was a breach of contract case. If Diddy had paid him what he deserved, which was 6 figures, we would have never heard about Little Rod's case. And Little Rod came as weeks after the Cassie case. So it on the heels of it, it almost seems as though his team was thinking, all right, we may be able to get results like Cassie did. However, with Little Rod's case, remember, it started with breach of contract. The judge since came back and dismissed the breach of contract. Literally, the judge dismissed the foundational accusation that was there that caused him to file suit in the first place. So I say, for that reason, as far as a witness, I don't think that doesn't bode well for him, because you put him on the stand, Diddy's lawyers can be like, you're really here testifying because you filed a civil suit and the majority of your claims have gotten dismissed. So you're here to get back at Diddy, aren't you? You see how that could work? I'm not seeing Little Rod up in there. It could be, because there's a lot of different things they're going to try. Hell no, girl, the critic, I say girl, you might not be a girl. Child, the critic, is Jaguar Wright going to be testifying? They're not letting Jaguar Wright probably nowhere near that courthouse. That lady probably got warrants, first of all. So she know better than to just pop up at a courthouse. That lady got warrants. I don't know what for, but I would not be surprised if that lady got warrants. She probably got restraining orders. Bless her heart. Right. Mr. Bentley, will he pop up? Mr. Bentley is trying to stay the hell away from anything involved. He has a nice, wholesome life. He's got a 401k. He works a corporate job. I believe he's in corporate sales of some sort, kind of like Ralph Pittman, Drew's husband. Mr. Bentley don't want nothing to do with this. Mr. Bentley be done left the country to avoid testifying before testifying. He's got a nice little Caucasian wife, cute little Caucasian wife, and little happy biracial kids. Let me see what he looked like. Bentley today and family. Let's see what he looked like. Fawn Chambers Watkins is his real name. Oh no, I'm wrong. There's not no Caucasian wife. Oh my God, this is the cutest little happy black family. Y'all look at them. Oh my gosh, I gotta put this on the screen. Look at these. Look at their Christmas card. He ain't going nowhere near that courthouse. How cute are they? With the cutest little wife and then the cute little brown babies, black babies. Oh my gosh. Mr. Bentley and his wife, Gina Coleman. I hope she had a happy Mother's Day. Oh, this is precious. Look at these. Oh, right. You can't see. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. This is Farnsworth. Look at it. Let me start at the beginning. Look at these. What about the lady who got shot? No, the lady who got shot, they might call her. She could be on the witness list. She's just probably, so victims 1 through 5, those are victims where their story, the reason they're significant is they were referenced in the indictment. So there's going to be a lot more witnesses. It's just 1 through 5 were specifically referenced in the indictment. So they carry particular significance. Oh, his wife's an actress. Okay. It says, I wonder how much therapy Mr. Bentley had to do to heal. I know he's seen some stuff. Sure has. It says Brian Steele and Trump have the same lawyer. Diddy thinks hiring Brian Steele is going to secure a presidential pardon. Let me say this. So thank you to this cute little black family. Hold on. I'm going to say this. If I were part of Diddy's legal team, now, number one, Mark Garagos, I want to be very clear. So Mark Garagos has the Angry Men podcast with Harvey Lewin, which is how TMZ is getting all this leaked information. But Mark Garagos is getting in big trouble for that. He got in big trouble with the judge because, and I heard this on the Breakfast Club, basically DJ Envy and Charlemagne were trying to understand. Lauren LaRosa was explaining that Garagos got in trouble because Garagos referred to the prosecution as a band of angry white women. What did he call them? Hold on, I wrote it down. It's 6 angry white cat ladies. Something crazy like that. He called them a bunch of angry white ladies, angry crazy ladies, angry cat ladies, whatever it was. He referred to them as a team of white women, right? And Geragos, of course, is white himself. And the judge was like, and so the prosecutors were like, Judge, you need to admonish him. He should not be allowed to do this because while he hasn't entered a notice of appearance, he is informally part of the legal team. That's why he needed to be in trouble. So Mark Geragos is trying to get around being an official part of the legal team, but he is part of the media team. Media team, legal team, either way, you can't run around calling and insulting the prosecution, even if they are a bunch of a six-pack of cat ladies. That's what we call them, a six-pack of cat ladies. Here we go. Is you can't call people a six-pack of women. Oh, sorry. I think maybe it was me thinking they were cat ladies. A six-pack of white women, thank you, is what he had called them. Is you can't do that because you couldn't do that if you were his lawyer in the criminal case, like that filed a notice of appearance, and you can't do it if you're anywhere on his team as a lawyer. So effectively, what Mark Geragos is out here doing, and it's very wise to hire a lawyer to do this. Mark Geragos is simply doing media runs. He's doing media runs with legal understanding. If anyone wants to hire me for that, you can go to SimoneRedwine.com, call my office. We can schedule that. The reason it is so much better to hire an attorney to do that for you, because we're able to talk about the law and why the law supports your side. A traditional PR person, they can get you a platform, they can get your story out, but they're not allowed. It's not that they're not allowed. They're generally not able. They just don't have the legal experience that he has. He also provides legal expertise and prestige because Mark Geragos has won so many important cases. So when Geragos says something, if it would be more persuasive than like just a media person going out and making whatever point. He's also able to leak certain facts that are appropriate. You can't leak everything, but he can leak. I think there was I think he was talking about the whole coercion and how that is going to be a part of how things are approached. But overall, so what happens is when you're officially part of the trial legal team, you must enter a notice of appearance. So that's how everyone found out that Nicole Westmoreland, the Black woman that's been added to the team, she filed a notice of appearance May 6th. That's how everyone found out who she was and that she joined. So without the notice of appearance, it means that you're not telling the court that you're part. Hit that like button, guys. But you could still be showing up to every meeting. I believe Mark Geragos is probably showing up to meetings, getting inside information. His daughter is on the legal team. So again, he's an informal member of the legal team. He just didn't file a notice of appearance. And what you cannot do is you cannot not file a legal appearance just so you can run around and be leaking stuff to the media. You can't do that. You cannot do that. At this point, he can't say anything that Diddy's own lawyers wouldn't be able to say. So that strongly diminishes it. And so to the extent that he was supposed to be this media outlet, this media voice for him, because of his position as an attorney and being so involved with it, he's really not going to be able to do it to the same degree that he was before because he's been chastised. And the judge himself said that the judge will be listening to podcasts, to that Two Angry Men podcast with him and Harvey, to make sure that he is not going to be cutting up, making any other comments like that. Yeah, Trump was judged to be guilty. Yes, on our allegations. Absolutely. But Trump only had civil allegations. Trump never had criminal. I think it was too late. I think the statute of limitations had expired. And that even the law that opened things back up, for whatever reason, it didn't fit Trump's. But Trump absolutely civilly. And that's how come he had to pay that woman hundreds of millions of dollars for that. Shine could testify. Yes, Shine can testify. Yes. But another thing. Okay, I spoke about Nicole Westmoreland, the new African-American woman that's been added to the team. And we talked about how she herself is an assault survivor. She sued basically Cash Money Records and was successful. Many people have said she didn't win. Yes, she did. She won she won her civil case. And the jury actually found them to be liable. Cash Money Records, Birdman and his brother were found to be liable. And then what happened is they settled, as in Cash Money Records. While the jury was deliberating how much money they would give her, the brothers offered her a dollar amount where she said, we'll take it. And then therefore the jury didn't come up with the final term. And I'll tell you why that might happen. that happens, that will happen because what happens is when the jury says these are the dollars that should be paid, the defendants can always appeal it, especially if they're multimillionaire defendants. So what you don't want to do is get wrapped up in dealing with these appeals, because they could appeal it all the way to the Supreme Court of your state or the US Supreme Court. So rather than wait and delay and not be able to get paid and have to go through that perhaps 6 more years from your jury verdict to get a dime, you can go to the negotiation table, because when you negotiate, then they're going to tell you whatever dollar amount that they say we're going to offer you. You can go back and forth. That dollar amount, you're going to get within 30 days, baby. You're going to get it in 30 days. So laws and practice confuse me so much. I'm so sorry. So anyway, so Nicole got paid. Here's what I want to be clear about, though. So I had talked about how she could be really persuasive because she's going to be coming from her own personal perspective. For example, she's supposed to be a beast on cross-examination. So when she is cross-examining some of these women who are alleging to have been assaulted, she's going to be able to rely on what are some things she did when she had her situation, because she preserved the evidence, preserved the facts. She immediately went to the police. She literally looked her assailant in the face and right after it happened and in front of other people and said, why did you just arm me? Why did you just do that? Okay. She did that. And then she went to the hospital. She got her kit. She told the police. She had friends substantiate. She even, when she was in the hospital, one of Cash Money Records, their accountant, called and offered her 6 figures. I don't know if she put it on speaker or what, but she had a friend in the hotel room with her. And that friend corroborated that friend was there when someone from Cash Money offered her $100,000 to settle. So she was able to get all this together. So when she cross-examines these people, she's already known to be a beast for cross. But in this particular case, I think she'll be particularly good. Now, what she's not allowed to do is not in opening, closing, or anywhere else could she mention the fact that she too is a survivor, that she's a survivor of this. That's because lawyers are not allowed to testify. For her to share that kind of information would be providing testimony. It could also be alleged to bias. It would also be considered unethical. Now, she could say things like, we stand with victims of true assault. She can say something like that. She just cannot. Oh, thank you so much, Mo Beauty Diva. She just can't use her situation to garner sympathy or empathy or anything from the jury. And let's think about why this rule has to be in place. Because if so, literally, that would be unfair to people who haven't been assaulted, right? As far as like being the lawyer there, it literally would give her an unfair advantage against the prosecutors for her to be able to go in front of the jury and be like, I've gone through this myself. Let me tell you my story, get that empathy, and then be like, and I would have never been here. I would have never defended this man if I actually believed that he too was an assailant. Thank you. You see what I'm saying? Wait, who sued Cash Money? Okay, important. The person who sued Cash Money was Nicole Westmoreland, Diddy's new black lady lawyer. Diddy's new black lady lawyer. So, and some people, in the last video, I was like, oh, he got 2 colors. I say that in jest. You should know I don't actually refer to myself or others as colored, but I say it to say Diddy is telling a 360 narrative. He's not simply relying on the facts. He's relying on the evidence. He's relying on the court of public opinion. I think in his mind, when he beats this case, he wants to have a complete and total return to the music industry to dominate it. Now, I'm here to say, even if he beats this case, I don't see that happening. But he's working. I believe that these different people that he's hired on the team is because if he can't win with the jury, he at least wants to win in the court of public opinion, or at least to shake up the narrative. Because after that Cassie video came out, nobody was out here defending him in any way. Prior to that, there was actually a lot of people saying, or a lot of talk that like, oh, well, Cassie just wanted the money, this, that, or the third. There was some ambiguity. After that video, everyone is like, he's terrible. He's terrible. So now he's trying to carve away at that. Grace said that Odie is also listed as a victim, and Cassie and Odie are corroborating each other's accounts. Okay. Odie, that would be interesting because Odie is the Caucasian bald-headed guy who has been locked up, arrested. He's got mental health issues, etc. That would be risky on the side of the prosecution. Because if Odie has not been taking his medication, he likely won't be making sense. He won't be concise. He won't be a bunch of things. I'm looking to see if I see what you have there on Odie. I don't see it currently, but that doesn't mean. Yeah, he did. Odie did talk a lot about Diddy and so forth. I would have trouble believing that Odie. It's risky for you to use a mentally ill person as one of your witnesses. So I don't see that. How many years is he looking at? He's looking at life. He's looking at life. He could get up to life for all the different charges that Diddy is facing. And I would have a chance of financial composition. All right, let me see if there's any final questions that I did not get a chance to cover. We have the subpoena audio. Oh yeah, again, guys, it won't be televised because federal courts aren't televised. There's no audio recordings that are allowed in there. I've heard there have been situations, some people have snuck them, but there's no audio. So some people are like, how are people live tweeting? They're taking notes while they're in there. And then as soon as there's a break or they get out, then they can go get their phone and then they tweet to catch up with what's going on. But there's nobody in the courtroom that has access to electronics other than the legal team. But I do believe, and I do believe there is a strong and good likelihood. I had meant to, I was trying to put the Brian Still comment back up with the legal team. Finally, my final thoughts is I'd say if I were a part of the legal team, I would encourage Diddy let's focus on this case, but also simultaneously, he should have a anonymous and confidential pardon team that is solely working on soliciting Donald Trump for a pardon. And here's how I think potentially that would work. Number one, a pardon can be given at any time, even before he's tried or found guilty. Technically, if it's a federal case, so technically Trump could pardon him today if he wanted to, before the trial has even started. I don't think that would happen. Instead, I do believe Trump is going to let the entire case play out. Why? Because if he's found not guilty, nothing Trump needs to do. The trial is going to be 8 weeks. And they've got almost all the jurors. They're going to finalize the jurors on Monday. But with Trump is very easy to solicitate. Oh, so for the call-in number, someone's asking, it's this link. So I'm sorry, it's not actually the phone. I just dropped the link again. Okay. It's, the link is there. You just need to click the link. You can do it from your phone. You don't have to show your face. You can cover it, but you do need to, Why would an SA victim be on the Diddy legal team? Okay, we'll deal with it later. But with Trump and the pardon, yes, Trump can't pardon anyone. Trump can only pardon someone accused of a federal violation of anything. So right now he's actually pardoning a bunch of police officers who have been accused of hurting people. There is the case, I think it's Tyree Nichols. I forget which state that was. On the state level, those officers were found not guilty on the state level, but then they were found guilty on federal. Any day now, Trump will probably pardon them. So he can pardon Diddy for everything. So Nisi, just a second. He can pardon Diddy for everything because these are all federal charges. And here's the thing about Trump. Trump loves the attention. He loves all the things that narcissists like. I see you, Nisi. Thank you for joining us. We'll get to you shortly. Tennessee is a state for Tyree Nichols. Thank you. He loves the attention. So if he feels like it's going to piss off a bunch of people he doesn't like, i.e. liberals, oh, baby, he'll do it in a second. He'll do it in a second. I could see him using language like, oh, Diddy is a very nice guy. I've known him for years. He has the best parties. That man was railroaded by evil Damian Williams. Because remember, Damian Williams, who's a black guy, was the DA that indicted Diddy. Trump hates him. Trump hates him because he has been instrumental in bringing charges against Trump. Now, Damian then he resigned because Trump was going to fire him or whatever. Damian's a fantastic lawyer. So he didn't do nothing wrong, right? When you get a new administration, it is normal that certain U.S. attorneys will resign. He resigned. Now they got whoever they got over there. But I say that to say Trump would love to piss off the libs. So if he feels like it will piss off a bunch of liberals, he loves to piss off any attorneys that he feels that have gone after him. He wants to then piss them off. So by developing a pardon team that is going to kiss Trump's butt, tell them about how Diddy was railroaded, show Trump the similarities between Diddy and himself and how Diddy is so much like you, and give him millions of dollars. Diddy has the millions to give Trump for a pardon. It is illegal to buy a pardon. You are not supposed to buy a pardon, but we have been seeing in the Trump administration that has absolutely been happening. For example, there was one guy he was charged with scamming, frauding, those kind of things. He was sentenced to a number of years, financial fraud. That man then donated at least $1 million to Trump, and Trump pardoned him. We've also seen with Meta, and Trump sued Meta, and because he claimed that like Meta banned him from the site. Meta then gave, what was it, 25 million? A whole bunch of millions to him, and now they're all fine. So I absolutely, yes, I think that there's a strong argument for Trump to pardon him, but I think it will only happen after the trial is concluded, because if a jury finds him innocent, Trump won't need to be involved with that. Secondly, Trump can only do legally, this is his last term. So I could also see Trump doing so at the end of the term, because what can people do to him? Okay, if you don't like him, he's 80 some years old. He's, knocking on death's door any day now. He poops on himself. He pisses on himself. Okay. He wears the pins. He's about to be out of here. He's done everything in his life he's wanted to do plus more. So at this point, he doesn't give a lottie-da, rooty toot, poot poot about anyone. And if he feels like he could own the libs by pissing them off, by pardoning someone like Diddy, I think he would do it in a heartbeat. And someone said that Brian Steele's lawyer and Trump's lawyer was the same person, something along those lines, because, Trump had to be defended. Brian Steele had to be defended in the YSL case when he was found in contempt. Brian Steele and Trump have some legal unifying relationship, right? So where Brian Steele may be able to get to his ear. Plus, remember, Brian Steele is a nice little white guy. Trump would probably be very open to listening to him. But I absolutely believe, so everyone, whatever happens with this case, you just need to prepare your heart and your mind and anything else for it. Even if there's a guilty, there is a really good chance that, oh boy, will get to walk. So hit that like, here we go. Hit the like button, guys. If you want to run a little tip over here, I'd love to. You can hit, it's Miss Redwine, MISS Redwine on Cash App. Don't forget, you can also go to my website. You can schedule a consultation with me anywhere in the nation. People ask, I'm primarily an auto accident, a personal injury. So slip, falls, personal injury, hit by commercial vehicles, even wrongful death is what I do. But I've been doing this now for almost 2 decades. So I've done a plethora, which is why I'm able to help people with family law and a variety. Go to SymoneRedwine.com. You can book a consult, 30 minutes, starting at only $159. And then as we do that, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to slide over. Nisi, are you ready? I have not done call-in on Sundays in a minute. So let me see what Nisi has. Anyone else, if you want to call in with a legal question, I'll take a few questions real quick. I put it in the chat. It's also pinned to the top. If you're on YouTube, it's pinned to the top. Nisi, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good. All right.
Happy
And when I
Mother's Day
analyze
to
this video, I'm going to
everyone.
pull this out. So what question you got for me?
I have a civil matter I want you to see if you can straighten
Okay,
out
tell
for
me about
me.
it. What's up?
I want to know. I have three people that I need to take to civil court.
Uh-huh.
Two sisters and a niece that railroad me in probate and act as though I was not living.
Mm,
So we're in probate now, and we're almost wrapping up. But I still need to take them to civil court for pain and suffering and everything because of everything they did, hardship,
okay.
everything. Can I take all three of them together and
Okay.
still get $5,000? I'm in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, no, thank you. Marie James is asking if I help with LLCs and trademarks. Yes, I do. I in a prior video on the Turkey Leg Hut, I did a video about how they didn't buy Turkey Leg Hut didn't buy their trademark, so I did. So yes, the answer is yes. So, all right. So Nisi, what I hear you saying, Nisi, basically what you're saying is there was a probate matter, and you got a cousin. It sounds like you got sisters and a niece who
Yeah.
basically resolved a probate matter, which sounds like to me you feel like they took part of what should have been your inheritance. And then your question is about ways in which you can sue or pursue them to get what was owed to you back. Is that
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
no. We're in
No.
probate now because of what they've done.
Okay. They're
And
in
they've
probate
done
right
so
now.
much. But mine is for civil because after this is wrapped up, I still want to take them to civil court for pain and suffering, hardship, and everything like that.
What did
Can
they
I?
do?
Well, they lied and acted as if I was not alive
Okay. That you're not
or
an
I
heir,
didn't
that you're not entitled to
exist.
something.
And my niece put down that she and well, first of all, they had my niece being the personal representative. Her mom did because she's shady and she didn't want to get caught up in the mess they're in now. So she had her daughter to be the personal representative. They falsified the will. The only thing they said that my father had was his house. They sold that. They didn't take anything else back as far as the monies, and they're only saying it was like 150,000, and I know it was more than that. So that's in their inventory, in her inventory list now, that we have to go back to court for. So by them cutting me out of everything, they wrote checks in my parents' name after they were dead. They just did so much. I didn't get an ash, a obituary, or
Okay, let
nothing.
me pause you. So I just want to make sure I understand the problem, right, before we go forward. So it's the issue that you feel like, so I understand what you're saying. You want to do a civil case for emotional distress, pain and suffering, blah, blah, blah. But I'm trying to understand what happened in the original lawsuit. So are you saying that your dad died with a will or no?
He did not have a will. My mother and father
Okay,
passed a week
pause. Now,
apart.
here's the thing. I'm going to interrupt you a few times because the way my ADD is set up, I'm going to need
Okay.
specific answers to one thing in order to be able to advise you to go right or go left. All right.
Okay.
No will for your father. Secondly, I own a title company, so you came to the right place. My title company is called Experience Title, which is in Texas. We do closing throughout Texas. If anyone has a property that you're going to be buying, definitely call us up, 214-575-8300. We'd love to help. Here is the thing. So with the sale of the property, are you at all alleging that you did not get your proper share of the 150,000 or whatever it was from the sale of his house?
I didn't get anything. They didn't even put my name down there when they went in. You
Okay,
know
so
how?
pause. Okay, number one, let me answer your question. Your question is, can you sue for pain, suffering, and so forth in Michigan for how they have treated you with the probate matter? No, you cannot. The answer is no, you cannot. Probate is probate. For pain, suffering, you can't say you've suffered pain and suffering because of how someone went about exercising their legal rights. So I'll pause you there. You don't even need to worry about pursuing that claim. Like that's not going to be a thing. Your question was also, could you sue all of them in one lawsuit? The answer would be yes. You can always have multiple defendants in one civil lawsuit, but just here, there is no grounds in any state to recover pain and suffering based on how someone mistreated you in the probate matter. Instead, the appropriate thing is to file something in the actual probate matter to say, hold up, Your Honor. My relatives over here, these ladies are over here committing fraud, and they are trying to defraud me of my fair share from the estate. And you're lucky that property was involved. And it sounds like property was the main source of any of the money, correct?
No, they sold the property dirt cheap.
I hear you. I hear you. But was that the main asset that he
No,
left?
it was not. That was not the main asset.
What else
It
was
was
there?
his banking accounts.
Okay, all of that. So
Yes,
then what you'll have to do is you need to get an attorney that helps you
I
intervene
have
in the
one.
in the probate case. How's that
Yes,
going?
it's going great. Right now, my
Good.
attorney, he's filing a motion to go ahead because the inventory list has been submitted to us, but it was supposed to be submitted to the court within 30 days of them receiving the Citizens Bank statements. And they sent us the Citizens Bank statement in January, and they never even sent it to the
Okay.
court.
I thought I
The
had one other
inventory
person that
list.
wrote in. If there's someone else that has a question after her, feel free. Y'all hurry up and jump in here before we go. But so I'll say this then. Then my last tweet, I'm glad to hear you have an attorney in the probate. The other thing you should have your attorney explore is whenever there's an heirship, there's a house that's being sold by heirs. The buyer always, whoever bought the property from your family, always gets a title insurance policy, because what that protects them against is people like you who come in and say, hold on, I was an heir. They didn't consult me about this sale and I never got my share. Literally, the title insurance policy is there for you to file a claim against it and get whatever your share is as an heir. So you want to make sure your attorney, whoever you're using, tell them, in addition from filing in the probate case, which can take forever, I love filing against an insurance policy. So you're going to tell your lawyer to please contact the title company that sold the property and get the information from them to look into whether we can file a claim against the title insurance policy that was there because I didn't get my claim. You're going to get your money way faster from that insurance company than you will having to dilly-dally with your relatives going back and forth with all of
because
this.
they got to put everything back and make it whole.
Right. I'm in Houston, Texas. Someone is asking. I'm in Houston, Texas. Do we have any other caller? So I appreciate that.
Could you please drop that link down too for
the phone number?
What is it? No. The link where I can get the book where.
Oh, sure. Yes. So it's this. Look, if my banner is in the way, move it. But under my name is SymoneRedwine.com. You can get my ebook at SymoneRedwine.com. My ebook, y'all, is Background Checks 101. The beginner's guide to finding out who the heck you're dealing with. So I teach you literally how to run background checks. I give you examples of websites to use, what to do when you get to each one, different tips and tricks, like how to find out if somebody is married, different things like that. So you'll go to SymoneRedwine.com.
Okay, my ADD is set up like this too. Now you said I cannot take them or and sue them for pain and suffering.
Correct.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah. Here's why. What your issue is almost a breach of contract. There wasn't a will, but let's say if there was a will, the will acts as a contract, right? You're basically accusing them of breaching what they were supposed to do according to either the will or according to the law. Well, you actually can't get pain and suffering for breach of contract. Many people don't realize that. Yeah, you can't get that. All you can get for breach of contract is whatever they were supposed to pay you if they had abided by the contract, what they were supposed to pay you, and you can get your lawyer's fees, but you can't get pain and suffering from a probate matter, because at the end of the day, everybody dealing with the probate matter that's contested has pain and has suffering. Fair enough?
Yeah, but it seems like I should. Because they lied. They lied to the judge. They submitted a fake
Well, then that's
will.
a different claim. Then you would add a fraud claim. Now, you can get paid for fraud. Sure.
So a fraud claim.
Fraud. F-R-A-U-D. Yes.
Yeah, through
fraud. It is civil, yes, but it can also be part of the probate. See, the thing is, you've already got that lawsuit going. The fastest and easy way to get relief is to reply with what's called a counterclaim, where you are countersuing, you're interjecting a claim for fraud. You want that as well, because if you do a separate lawsuit, let's say you win a separate fraud lawsuit, girl, you ain't gonna get your money. You're not gonna get your money. Versus if you interject it in this case, This is a probate matter.
Okay.
Which means they got the money in the court account right now. Right?
Okay. Right.
They got the money in the court account. So when you interject your claim, no money can be dispersed until a judge decides whether or not you are owed your money.
Exactly. Now, see,
That's what you want,
that's
ain't it?
hitting on something.
You don't want nobody getting paid unless you get paid. You can hold up everybody's money until a judge makes a determination onto whether or not fraud was committed and you were left
She
out
knows
of the
that.
deal.
The same
Yeah.
judge they got pulled the wool over her eyes with the property and the signing of everything is the same judge we are in front of now, Judge
Oh,
Callahan,
goodness.
and
Oh,
she
boy.
is pissed.
Sorry to
She's
hear
real
that.
pissed. Oh, she's pissed at them. I'm glad.
Oh, wow.
Not at me,
Well,
because my sister had the mitigated gall to ask her when she said, okay, we're removing Shanae from personal representative. Let me see. I'm gonna find, okay, we're gonna do Tim Flynn. He's gonna be the probate personal representative. Her mother had the mitigated gall to ask the judge, can she or my sister be successor over the state? That judge looked at her and said, no. You were a
nope.
part of this whole thing. You knew exactly what was going on. You was right there when this was signed, when this was signed, when this was signed. Then she said in so many words, someone will have to be a fool to make you or your other sister successor over the state. So she already know what was going on.
Sorry to hear that. Also, if they are felons or have any theft in their record, then they're not supposed to be over your estate either. So you may want to do a
No, I
background
don't think
check.
none of them have any
Okay, well, that's
records.
good. All right. Hey, lovely lady has asked, do I mentor women? I absolutely do. I offer mentoring and coaching. I have a coaching session for people that want to go to law school, men and women. That's going to be this Wednesday. I've plugged. You can sign up for free. Go to my website, SymoneRedwine.com, to do so. But I also do mentoring for women. If you can actually schedule time on my site, like under the booking, but those may have, I'm going to be I'll be rolling out a coaching program later on where there will be consultations like available as well. So Miss CC, I appreciate you coming in and giving me
Thank
the
you.
chance to
I
try and help you.
appreciate you so
Keep me
very much.
posted.
Happy Mother's
Absolutely.
Day to everyone.
Happy Mother's Day. Thank you
All
so
righty.
much.
Mhm.
Also, yes, have a good one. Also, guys, don't forget, if you have a legal question and you'd like to come on one of the call-in, I want to do another of these. I love them. Text 323-689-5683. That's 323-689. It's on the streaming thing at the bottom here. 323-689. I didn't forget the number. Where did it go? 323-689. Whatever it is, it's there at the bottom of the screen. Here, you can see it. It's coming. What is it? All right. Here we are. Lord have mercy. What it? Here. 323-689-5683. My apologies. And let me know what topic you'd like to come on. Otherwise, you're welcome to more urgently, sign up for a consultation. As I mentioned, 30 minutes start at 1:59. So glad to be with you guys today. I'm going to pull this off and we'll do a shorter video to kind of shorten up this video. And if I have time, add some, add chapters to it. But let me know what other topics you want me to cover in the chat. Y'all, I totally forgot. Multiple people asked me to cover the Misa Hilton lawsuit. I feel like it's not too late. So I'm going to try to get to that. But I am going to give you guys an update on the Christian Gold Jennifer Williams saga. Y'all have a great Sunday. Be blessed, y'all.